Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. So I'm going through kind of a reiteration, and I've actually, because I've got this app, so I brought up this hadith that I've been referring to in a lot of these sessions, okay? And this is well-known hadith, okay, that I first came across when I was doing tabligh work. So, I mean, I've known about this hadith for over 30 years. And I've talked about how, like back in those days, say 50 years ago, and we know the situation in Palestine, right? Uh, so that was present, okay? Problems in Palestine and Egypt and Lebanon, okay? And then in the 80s, you begin the situation in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the U.S. in open military maneuvers, Iraq, Iran in the 80s, um, and then, the first Gulf War, to wipe out Iraq, etc. And these all tie into this hadith, okay? Now, what I want to do is I'm trying to present, okay, because Muslims today are, I don't want to say like I'm saying things that Muslims aren't aware of, okay? But I'm trying to clarify the picture because Muslims have really missed something major here, all right? I mean, if you understand the seriousness of Islam, Allah created human beings for a serious, serious, serious purpose, okay? And I've talked about that. When human beings end up in Jannah or Jahannam, that's serious, okay? When Muslims ignore, like literally, Muslims coming to the West is like the greatest opportunity in the deen to be the ansar of human beings who have entered Islam. And the Muslims came and completely blew it, okay? So understand like the bird's eye view of what happened because this is all recorded history, okay? And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning in Surah Al-Mulk. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم. Okay, and I'm going to stop. ليبلوكم. That Allah created death and life and everything in between, okay, to examine you, to test you, to find out what you are, okay? And so everything is arranged. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought, like I said, roughly 6 million Muslims who came to the U.S. and have lived here as a sample of the Ummah, and Allah is examining what will the Ummah do. Okay, what will this sample of the Ummah do? Muslims arrived, had full freedom to do Islam, had everything they needed, and blew it. Blew it. Okay? 50, 60 years, and, never even figured out what the hell they're doing. All right? And so I've mentioned that in the same time frame, Allah has sent the results all over the Muslim world. Okay? So it's in the same 50 years that Muslims are ignoring and destroying the mission of Rasulullah's life, and Allah is showing the results of that all over the Muslim world. Allah has sent destruction on 26 Muslim countries. Okay? So, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us then that He does not do wrong to anybody. Okay? And Allah will not send punishment until He has established the evidence for that punishment. All right? And there's so many verses in the Quran, but this one in particular, which talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions when Muslims refuse the effort and the spending, both, that Islam requires. Allah gave you a great opportunity, and it needed some work from you. You didn't do it. It needed some expense from you, and you just bought bigger houses with more furniture, and you're not funding what Islam requires. And then I went into the details yesterday of literally like how your community destroyed the lives of converts, and basically the evidence that you have presented to Allah, and it is written in your book, every Muslim, every one of you, and your community, every day, twice a day, for the last 50 years. The evidence is written that you do not put into what Islam requires. And you basically, because you did not set up your community for Islam, and you left converts who entered Islam in a situation, in a position in which we literally have to quickly make a decision. And you see converts having done this, I've known converts for decades. Try to find a community where we can live with our Islam, and any community we go to, it's useless to us. The masajid are useless. Muslim brother is useless. Okay? And so you left basically two options for the convert. All right? Either figure it out soon that, the community sucks, and so a lot of converts just pack up and leave and just go back with their lives. And then others of us are sunk. Okay, we committed ourselves, like I was talking about. I spent my first 4 or 5 years full-time studying Islam. Okay, and by that time, my past life is gone. Okay, if I left and went back home, the people that I'd known have moved on. Okay, so there's nowhere for me to go back to. I'm sunk, I'm stuck, and screwed. Because your community now, 35 years later, you still have nothing. Okay, and so basically, when you did this, you have shown Allah that anyone who wants to enter Islam, good luck to you. As we always hear, may Allah make it easy for you, okay? Because Muslims do not do Islam. And so the convert then, if they're going to stay on, they're going to end up in pain and destruction, okay? And so in this, because you took the greatest opportunity that Allah has in His deen, and historically, honestly, this was the greatest opportunity, I mean, in hundreds of years. And Muslims blew it. And so basically, what you did is you proved the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said in this hadith, and I'm going to flip over because it's kind of translated, that essentially what Rasulullah said about today's Muslims is that you are many. Yes, you are many. Many of you, 1.x billion. But you are useless garbage, infected with weakness, feebleness. Okay? And even then in other hadith, Rasulullah has described even the scholars of today as being ignorant and astray, and I've talked about this. Thousands of shuyukh and mawlanas who came to the United States and 50 years later don't know what the hell you're doing. I am the only one who actually developed a fiqh for the converts and for the community. mean, why? I mean, this was obvious. Like, if you ever read the Quran, okay, you should know this. If you ever heard Rasulullah's name, you should know this. If you ever heard the word Sahaba, they were all converts. If you ever heard the word Hijrah, it was about converts moving to solve their problems. The Medina community was set up, Muhajirin and Ansar, to solve the problems of converts. I mean, so we have scholars today who are complete idiots. And Rasulullah said this. They're blind, blind. They can't understand the Quran sitting right in front of them. Okay? And that's just the reality. And so because the Muslims came and Allah is examining you and you blew it and you proved that yourself, that you're useless garbage, infected with weakness, you don't do Islam, you don't do what Islam requires, you destroyed the lives of human beings who became Muslims, the most important thing in Islam, the mission of Rasulullah's life. Allah was examining you, it's written in your book, you blew it, you destroyed it, it was a tremendous crime, it's probably the greatest crime in the history of Islam, and Allah sent destruction on 26 Muslim countries because Allah has established the evidence. It's there. Okay? This is the factual history. And you can't erase it. It's in your Kitab. It's already written there. And it's going to be there when you're standing in front of Allah. You know, so it's going to be serious because Allah has already used these facts and this evidence to send His decision of punishment, killing Muslims by the millions. Because what you did is serious. It was not a small crime. It's major. Okay? And yawm ul-Qiyaama is coming. Okay? And I talked about that in one of the early sessions. Muslims coming up yawm ul-Qiyaama, running around looking for water, and the only water you can get yawm ul-Qiyaama will come from the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you go running to him, and you are one of the Muslims who destroyed the mission of his life. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay?